Movies and Martinis celebrates women and diversity in the entertainment world
by ranking trending movies, shows, and books
with two completely different perspectives and ranked by delicious martinis.
Listen to find out how many martinis we felt it was worth.
And learn about the women who have written, performed, and/or directed in everything we have rated.
A new episode is available every Thursday on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy. Hi, everybody. We have a special guest today.
Yes.
Hi, Haley. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're excited to have you with us. We're really excited about you and about your beautiful, beautiful book, Nanagin.
Thanks for tuning in. This is our Books and Martinis episode where we interview an author. And this month we have Haley Kilgour. Hey, Haley.
Hi.
We're so glad you're here. And we're talking about your book, Nanagin, as Mercy mentioned. We all have a copy of this beautiful cover.
Yes.
It's amazing. So this is fantasy, correct?
Yes, very much so fantasy. If you go into this thinking it's not fantasy, you're in for a rude awakening.
Yes.
I did not know it was fantasy. I don't typically read fantasy, although I've read some, but it's beautiful and it's just captivating right from the beginning. But before I even talk about this beautiful book, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I'm a marine biologist. I currently work for the state of Florida as an environmental permitter down in the Florida Keys. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll see my two cats, Jafar, and our newest addition, Hades. You'll also see I am a mermaid. So yes, I am a giant nerd and I go play mermaid at the beach because I can and it's fun. And when I'm not doing that, I'm scuba diving, which is essentially just more mermaid dress up.
Okay. I totally love you even more now because my son wants to be a marine biologist and he's taking environmental science right now. He's majoring in environmental science so he can eventually get there.
Yeah.
And he's totally a water baby, loves to do all those things. He's learning how to scuba dive. He's getting his certification. Fun. Yeah. So, oh my God, I'm so excited that you're into that.
Yes. We had this whole conversation, right? Because I'm from South Florida and we spoke about how you were so close. We love the Keys. So
yeah,
that's awesome. That is so awesome. Okay. So I know that Priya was going to ask you, but I'm going to ask you first. Tell us about your book and what inspired you to write this book.
So Nanagin comes from two kind of places. One, a inability to sleep as a child, and Christopher Pliny. So I read Aragon when I was a kid, fell in love with it, and I love that Pliny had published a book when he was like 15, and I wanted to be just like him. So I started writing. I didn't get published at 15. It was much closer to 25, but I still did it. So there's a lot of like really subtle references to Aragon, but it kind of all started with I would put myself into Aragon, the book, and I go on the adventures, and then that got boring. So I would start adding different characters I made up or friends that I had, and the adventures would change. And then by the end of it all, I had my own book.
That's amazing.
Oh, interesting. That's fascinating. And how did you get these characters? Because they're like incredible, and I love their names, and there's just so much happening in this book.
Honestly, they just kind of, it's like Athena, you know, she just pops out from Zeus's head fully formed. That's kind of how most characters are for me. It's just, I suddenly meet them and I just know 90% about them. Like there's occasionally a time where a character she's like, I'm just going to keep my trap shut. She'll figure that part out eventually. But yeah, it's just like, just they fully fleshed kind of thing. Not always like the plot's fully fleshed, but generally my characters are just like, the second I have an idea, I know exactly what I'm doing with them. And it's just run with it.
So who was your favorite character writing your book?
Oh God, writing it, I really liked Caius, and I really wish he had more of a presence. Because he's such a fun villain. I know when you get more towards the end, you kind of start to realize that he's not just mean to be mean. He's mean for a reason. And for me, those are such fun villains because you can make them as mean as you want to be. But when there's a reasoning behind it, you can identify with them and you're just like, oh, it's so much.
You're more forgiving.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you relate with any of that, Priya? Because I know you're writing your book and it's all fantasy and you have your characters. Are you relating at all?
Yeah, well, I love villain arcs. And, you know, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about Thanos. So you want to hate Thanos for the Marvel Avenger movies. Mercy doesn't really watch Marvel.
No, I'm terrible with fantasy. I'm sorry.
But like, you want to hate him, and he's horrible, and he, he does the snap, and everybody disappears, but he's doing it for a reason.
And he
like
makes sense when you think about it too. And it's just like, ooh, evil for a reason. It hits a point, and you're just like, hi, what do I do?
Yeah,
it's like morally gray, except it's not morally gray because it's just gray.
Right.
And what was your inspiration for Caius? Was there somebody that you thought of when you were writing him in, or?
I don't even remember at this point. Again, just a lot of the characters nowadays, again, they kind of spring out fully formed, but again, it all started as this bedtime story. So I mean, this evolved over 10 years. So for me, it's really hard to say where a lot of these characters' inspirations come from now these days, unless it was directly based on someone.
Oh, wow.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
I gotta say that I devoured. So what happened to me is that I was like, okay, I'm gonna start reading this book. I sit down, I devoured half the book in one day, because your brain stops working at a certain point. You can't anymore. Devoured half the book. It was so good. And I'm a fantasy person, fantasy sci-fi. I loved it. And then I had a super busy week, and then I was just like, oh no. I had to break it up. And there's so much happening in this book. There's so many different character plots, all intertwining and coming together. But the main characters, Keegan, Cade, Caius, Aaron, like all these different characters coming together to make this story. And just the way it ends, it's just like, oh, come on.
More to come. Stay tuned.
The painstaking, like fleshing out everything and their stories and like what they're going through and their day to day, and like, at the end I was just like, of course it couldn't be.
Of course she's gonna leave it pending.
I thought it was gonna be like, it's this thing
standalone,
get like a good ending. No.
Well, it does have a good ending. It's just a cliffhanger.
Yes, cliffhanger. That's what I meant, guys. That's what I meant.
Yeah, it's an excellent ending. It just leaves you wanting more. Like, wait, what? So I agree. And what advice would you give to any writer that's writing a fantasy?
That's so hard because there's so many.
Your experiences, what was the hardest thing for you that
you
overcame?
Not giving up. There were so many things that just seemed to kick me in the teeth, and it would have been so easy to give up, and I didn't. And that is honestly the best advice I can give to any writer. It doesn't matter what you're going through. Someone else has gone through it too and persevered. Just keep going. It doesn't matter how little of a step it is, take it. You will get to the finish line.
Oh, dang. Yeah. And you worked on it for 10 years. So
well, a lot of it was bedtime story working on it, but it did take me 6 years between actually starting to write and the first publication.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And so
go ahead. We always talk over each other.
No, sorry. I was also going to say, like, you think what you have now is thick. When I first submitted it to the publisher, it was 213,000 words. It was the size of Game of Thrones.
Oh.
When it was first published, it was close to like 170, I want to say. It's now about 140. So again, you think this is big? It was much bigger.
Oh my God. Like,
so what you took out, is it in the second book now?
Nope, just material that just went away. It tightened up the story, made it better.
How did you feel about that?
The first time I was told to cut, it was really hard.
Aww.
The second time it was way easier. And by the third time I did it, I was like, no, if this just needs to go, I want it gone. So it gets easier to cut. You're just like, do I really need this? No. Okay. It can go away.
Is there a chance that you could publish another version with those cutout scenes? Like, did you hang on to those scenes somewhere? Is it like,
no, I've certainly got them, but I don't think I would, just because, the first version with my first publisher was, kind of the extended edition. And I think it reads much better now. It took out a lot of storyline that, kind of was leading to a dead end. And it's made it a better experience for the reader, I think. It's already fast-paced book, so I was able to take out some sections that were a little bit slower and repetitive and just kind of let the reader have more fun with it.
Yeah, I could see that.
And I love the way Okay, so I love the way, like, you right away, you said fast pace. Like, as soon as you start the book, you're off running and you're just like, what's going on? Where'd she come from? This came from another world back into her original world. And by the way, guys, spoiler alerts if you're listening. We didn't give you the heads up in the beginning, so
Yes.
sorry.
Yes.
And we're talking about Keegan here. So Keegan is like the main heroine, like main FMC of the book. And she's originally from this world, but she was taken back to the normal world, our world per se, like where there's cars and lots of technology. And then all of a sudden so you said the word Nanagin differently. So we were pronouncing it wrong. Say it again for us.
I say Nanagin. At this point, I don't
Nanagin.
fight people on it anymore because so not only do I have the book with a local meadery down here, Keys Meads, I actually have a mead named after the book, and they have just at this point to screw with me flat out refused to say it right. So they say how you guys say it. I can't even get myself to do it. But so at this point, it's just like, you know what? As long as it starts with an N and ends with an N, I don't care. It's fine.
Okay,
What inspired you to get this name? And I know we just jumped from something else, but what inspired you for the name?
So
where does the name come from?
So it was actually my mom. The original title of this book was called Convergence, and the original publisher thought it was too close to the Divergent series.
Mhm.
And so when I have to make up a word, what I do is I pull a bunch of sounds and letters kind of just from nowhere, and I start mashing them together until I find something I like.
Okay.
I did the same thing here. It was just find letters. Ironically, though, this is actually an Ojibwe word, and I can't remember exactly what it means, but it means almost the complete opposite of what this word means in my book. So, weird irony.
So in the book, it's a portal. It's the portal between the worlds. Right?
It's a portal, but it's kind of like almost like an additional kind of thing. I'd have to look at I'd have to find the exact definition again, but it means kind of to take away something. I can't remember the exact wording.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So just again, like sheer accident, I just happened to throw a bunch of letters together and it turned out to be another word in a different language.
Well, talking about language and throwing words together, like you had a whole other language in this book. Like, how did you craft that language?
By pulling sounds and letters out of the air. I found something I liked and then saying, okay, what are the basic rules? What equals plural? What's masculine, feminine? And then just changing endings as, a normal language would to make those work. Like, people say you're so creative with languages. I'm like, I'm not. I just literally, like, essentially took alphabet soup, threw something on a wall and said, oh, okay, there's a string of letters I like. Let's go. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
It worked for you.
It totally worked. Yeah. And the whole time I was just like, did she like take two languages and put them together? Like, did she do research? Like all these questions were running through my mind. Like, how did she craft this? And here you are like, yeah, I just pulled it.
I love it.
My mind.
I love it. And I have another question for you. Why does the book not talk about the author?
Is there not about the author in the back?
There is nothing about the author. I was looking for it because I wanted to read more about you. And this, at least the copy I got. Does the copy you have say anything about the author?
Yeah, so my old publisher version has it. I think that may have been an oversight. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yes, ma'am, because I wanted to learn more about you. Okay, good. Because I wanted to hear more about you. And I asked Priya, I'm like, Priya, it doesn't talk about the author. What book doesn't tell me about the author?
Yeah. Oh man.
Does yours have it?
Nope. I mean, there's the glossary and pronouncing the old language and all that stuff.
Yes, and I have a map in the front, which was beautiful. I love that.
So this was Owl Talon Press's little guinea pig. So we are still finding things that we're learning on from this one. Just one thing we have to remember to do, but I'm glad someone finally caught it.
Yeah, and so you have the second one coming out?
Yes, that's releasing November 12th after 4 years of fighting this one. It's been a headache, but yes, it will be finally releasing. There is nothing else holding it back.
Good. And what is the name of the book?
So it is called Ravlian.
Ravlian.
I'm gonna have to write it down because I'm so terrible at spelling.
Your chicken soup motto.
Pretty much. So it's Ravlian. The last three vowels confuse me, and I can't remember the order unless I write it down. So
funny. Oh my God, how exciting. Okay. And that'll be the second. So is it a trilogy or were they 5 books?
It was originally supposed to be 4. It is now 3 because my mom didn't like the ending of the second book, and so she made me change it, which kind of made an entire book a moot point. She did the same thing with this one too. She's like, I don't like the way you ended it. So I had to fix it, and it like completely screwed up my plan, but it made it better, honestly.
It made it better. That's what moms do.
For real though.
Oh, that's great. How exciting. Man. So is there, okay, I have another question before we wrap this up. When your book makes it to a movie, think about this, okay? Who would you like to have play the main character? Who do you envision playing the main character?
So if you haven't figured it out, Keegan is very, very heavily based on me. Ideally, I would play Keegan. I'm probably way too old to do that now. I'd break myself even trying. I honestly haven't given it any thought, and I'm really not up to date on movie stars or anything. I think the only person I figured out who I want to play anyone is I want Benedict Cumberbatch to play Alec, and I want Cole Sprouse to play Colt.
Oh, I love that.
Everyone else, I'm just like, it'll work itself out if it happens.
Yeah, Hollywood can figure it out.
What about Cade? Because she's a twin. So
I have no idea who would play Cade.
Does Cade look like you too, or is he?
Cade is significantly taller, but yes, does have that red hair, a lot of the freckles, very stubborn personality.
And what about Jared? Who were you imagining for Jared?
So Jared was actually based off of, just physically speaking, off of a childhood babysitter.
Oh.
Also Jared.
That's interesting. Did you have a crush on this childhood babysitter?
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Oh my God. I do have a question before we wrap up here. Now, her love story. So her and Jared, then her and Aaron. And of course, before we found out
her and Jared were never a thing.
No, I thought they were going to be a thing the whole time.
I've had a lot of people say that, but that was never the plan.
I thought they were going to be the thing. And then her and Aaron hooked up, and I was just like, what? And it was right at the end. I was mad. I wanted Jared.
Jared gets the love story he deserves in the next book.
Okay. That makes me feel better. But I still the whole time was imagining the two of them, like, this is going to be like tension and like, long term. And in the end, we're going to get the satisfaction. When you read like a novel and it's just like all this tension, then you get that one kiss or like that one scene where they finally hook up. And it was Aaron.
She took you for a whole ride.
Yes.
That's
the thing though, is that between Aaron and Jared, Keegan and Jared, there is never anything that really ever screams romance. They're just friends and they're comfortable with each other. If you read the book, there's never any like in either perspective where either of them feels any kind of romantic way towards the other one. So it's completely the reader trying to ship these characters together, which I've always found entertaining.
Yeah, I was totally trying to ship them because so they were comfortable. So that's what told me this was it. This was it. They were so friendly, so comfortable. Cade was constantly eyeing the two of them. Like, I thought that was going to be it. But no.
Jeez, Priya, you went down the whole wrong avenue.
I have to get that out. I'm sorry.
Jeez. Okay, tell me, what do you feel your listeners should know most about you?
What y'all should know most about me is that I'm a walking disaster with a sense of humor.
Oh, cute.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Well,
yep.
Go ahead.
No, good.
I was going to say your crazy disaster is beautiful.
Yes.
Because you wrapped it up beautifully. So I love it. I love everything about the book. What inspired you with the cover? Is that you?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know where I even got the idea. I've just always kind of been like, she is so much just a catalyst for everything. Like, she has to be the front cover. And just for some reason, something in my head told me, do her face. It'll pull people in. And oh, I can't tell you, anytime I do book shows, people are just like, what is this? I need it. I love this cover. So I did something right.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, you did. Well, you did the whole thing right. What are you talking about? The whole thing is beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I congratulate you on a great book.
Thank
and I can't wait for the second one to come out.
Yes.
So please, whatever you do, when you start talking about it, promoting it, make sure you tag us so we can share with all our listeners always.
Of course.
We'll be happy to do that. And anything else you want to mention? Our listeners, how can they follow you on Instagram?
Yes, Jinx.
So I'm on Instagram is by_HC Kilgour.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, and we'll put it also in our information. So
Yeah, do you have a link? Do you have a link where they could purchase it? They could purchase it right off of Amazon, Barnes &
You
Noble.
can get it on Amazon, or you can go to Owl Talon Press if you want a signed copy, or I do also have special edition copies of Nanagin. They have red edges. Just reach out to me through social media, and I'm happy to get that to you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. You know, that was another question I was going to ask you. Is there going to be a special edition in the future? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Nanagin. Not Noggin.
Nanagin.
Not Nanagin.
Nanagin.
Sounds better
If
the
you
way
say it
it's
in a
supposed to
southern
be.
accent, it sounds like no noggin.
True.
Nanagin. I love it.
It's totally going to be my clip for social media. The whole night. All right. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I really appreciate you being on the Books and Martinis episode for the month of October. Anyone listening or watching, make sure you check out Nanagin. Not Nanagin, Nanagin.
Nanagin.
By
Talk
Haley.
about confusing everybody.
Yes.
And we'll put all her information so you can find her and find out more about the next book.
Yes. So make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Absolutely. Bye. Have a great night.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.